first part, you're going to look at the science, you're going to review, you're going to come back maybe to the understanding of the pupils, maybe develop that understanding with some material, and look at the science so that the evidence can be considered. In the second part of the sequence, and generally that would be the second lesson, it would be then focusing on the inquiry in terms of making a decision. And again, separating the inquiry process from the actual content of this decision to start with is recommended. That's the route that we'll be looking at following. And then bring the actual scientific content back in at the end of that lesson in order to make an informed decision on the problem. Think about this. You are actually covering the conceptual understanding and the scientific inquiry if you follow this through. I guess the confidence to be able to do that and feel that you are then covering all that you need to do in terms of the national curriculum. So why separate it into two parts? I think really it is about, it's about making it very clear. It's making it accessible for the pupils to be able to interact with and make an informed decision. And there's quite a bit of research which started actually quite a long time ago. The first I remember of it was back in the late 80s, early 90s, in terms of cognitive overload on pupils, splitting off the inquiry process with the concept understanding. Don't try and introduce a new inquiry skill at the same time as introducing a new scientific concept. That will cloud both of the issues. So this is to some extent why sequence follows two parts.
In a lesson of 45 minutes, how can I plan sequence lessons? Which I suppose is the opposite. You know, it's not just curriculum, but that's time pressures, isn't it? Any thoughts on that one?
I think the suggested routes through the material, every teacher is going to modify that lesson plan to suit their particular needs. So I guess actually what you'd need to do if you've got very short lessons and only 45-minute lessons is you're going to have to take longer. You're going to have to split the material up into more sections. So it might be a 3-part sequence rather than a 2-part sequence. If introducing the science, you'd then have to obviously have a gap and you'd have to come back to it and review it again. It might then be the natural thing to do would be to actually do the inquiry teaching, the play stage that we'll come to, and then in the final lesson come back and draw the content and the inquiry skill together. So it would take 3 lessons, and obviously that's taking more curriculum time. So yeah, it's difficult, it's not easy.
So thank you everybody, and see you in the next.
Thanks, Sally. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.